Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's midnight now here in Cairo, and this is a new edition of Panorama News. In the upcoming 45 minutes, we'll be bringing you the latest of the political, economic and sports news from all around the world. I'm Hani Saif. I'll be bringing you the political and economic news for tonight, and we'll start off with the political news. And the headlines lead the way. President Sisi discusses means of combating terrorism. Prime Minister Sharif Ismail discusses government program with MPs. And Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri heads to Tunisia to attend meeting on Libya. Welcome back. The news in details. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held a meeting on Monday with Prime Minister Sharif Ismail, Minister of Social Solidarity Ghada Wali, Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri and Minister of Interior Magdi Abdel Ghaffar, as well as the head of the General Intelligence Agency, Presidential Advisor for National Security and head of the Auditory Authority. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Ala Youssef said that the meeting tackled a number of files, among them boosting Egypt's image on the international arena, maximizing the benefit of the soft powers represented in cultural, historical and scientific activities that can be organized by the different Egyptian institutions. They also discussed means of enhancing communications with Egyptian expatriates to benefit from their experiences that could contribute to clarifying the reality of the developments in Egypt while showing the cultural moderate image of the country. The meeting also tackled the developments in combating terrorism and Egypt's communications made on the international levels to put an overall and integral world strategy to tackle this phenomenon from all aspects. The President also stressed on the importance of adopting a new strategy with an aim of eradicating corruption in all its forms. And Prime Minister Sharif Ismail reiterated on Monday that the government is keen on revealing all facts and challenges facing the country with transparency when it submits its program to the Parliament on the 27th of March. Ismail said during his meeting with MPs from a Sharia governorate that the 2015-2016 budget amounts to 864 billion Egyptian pounds, including 164 billion allocated to services to be provided for citizens. He noted that this budget necessitates adding new resources. The Prime Minister said that the government program includes means of reducing inflation to 9% within 2 years, as well as reducing the budget deficit and dealing with the deficiencies in the trade balance. The program also includes means of creating new resources to guarantee sustainable development of state services and infrastructure. Final preparations are underway for the 5th meeting of the defense ministers of the community of Sahel-Saharan states, which will be held in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, during the 22nd till the 25th of March. More than 27 Arab and African countries and delegations from other regional and international organizations would be participating in the meeting. The Interior Ministry is coordinating with the armed forces to secure the conference and the participating figures. Minister of Interior General Magdi Abdel Ghaffar vowed on Monday to find and punish terrorists responsible for attacking a Safa checkpoint in El Arish in northern Sinai on Saturday. The minister reviewed with a number of his aides and security leaders details of the attack and measures to be taken to prevent the recurrence of such incidents. The minister mourned the martyrs and paid condolences to their families. He noted that reinforcements will be dispatched and measures will be taken to prevent the recurrence of such attacks. He added that logistical support will be sent to Sinai in cooperation with the armed forces. On Saturday, a mortar attack on the checkpoint killed 15 policemen. Meanwhile, in efforts to fight terrorism, Army spokesman Brigadier General Mohammed Samir announced that the 3rd Field Army seized a car full of materials used for explosive manufacturing during their search operations at a checkpoint. He added that 2 people were arrested and investigations are underway. Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri left to Tunisia on Monday to attend the Foreign Ministers' meeting of countries in neighboring Libya. The meeting in the Tunisian capital aims at supporting the Libyan dialogue and stop armed conflict in Libya. The ministers will also discuss means of backing the country's legitimate institutions and reforming the army and security forces. Egypt, US, and United Arab Emirates Navy forces started joint drills, the Eagles Greeting 2016, which took place at the Red Sea waters. The drills include a lot of activities, including a joint Navy battling techniques, naval reconnaissance, defense and attack techniques, and in addition to dealing with hostile targets with high efficiency. The drills also use live ammunition to rebuff and destroy surface and air hostile targets. The UN Syria Special Envoy said on Monday he was concerned by the slow progress of talks, warning that without dialogue beginning on a political transition, it would be difficult to sustain the cessation of hostilities and aid deliveries. Speaking after talks with the head of the Syrian government delegation, Bashar Jafari, Staffan de Mistura said that Jafari had told him it was too early to discuss political transition. De Mistura has described political transition as the mother of all issues, standing in the way of a breakthrough, but has not directly addressed the Assad question. Meanwhile, Jafari insisted that political transition in the war-ravaged country and Assad's fate were two separate issues. De Mistura said he has been urging the regime to submit concrete proposals for its vision of a transition government that could lead Syria out of 5 years of brutal conflict. The head of Syria's government delegation at peace talks in Geneva says the talks are positive, but so far no progress has been made in this round of talks. Bashar Jafari, Syria's UN ambassador, says a week and a half has been wasted waiting for a response from the other side to a document containing fundamental principles for negotiations that his team submitted to the UN Syria envoy last week.
They expressed cautious optimism about Syria's peace process, urging international and regional actors to build on the current favorable conditions, even as fighting raged between rival militant groups in southern Syria. In Geneva, where ongoing proximity peace talks between the Syrian government and the opposition had adjourned over the weekend, UN envoy Staffan de Mistura was to meet with the two sides separately. On a visit to Beirut, the AU's Federica Mogherini said recent developments, including a ceasefire that has been largely holding across Syria since February 27th, and the delivery of aid to besieged areas reflect positive steps unseen in the previous 5 years of conflict. Mogherini met with Lebanese Foreign Minister Gibran Basel and Prime Minister Tamam Salem and discussed the issue of Syrian refugees and the attacks by the Islamic State group in Lebanon and Paris last November. She also went to Lebanon's eastern Beqa Valley to meet Syrian refugees who are among hundreds of thousands who have fled to Lebanon. Lebanon, a country of 4.5 million people, has given refuge to more than 1 million Syrian refugees. She said that EU has so far given Lebanon 1.5 billion euros since the crisis began, adding that this is a significant one and will increase in the coming months and years.
A Yemeni government official said on Monday that a new round of UN-brokered Yemeni peace talks could be held by the end of this month in Kuwait. The Yemeni official said that the talks would be accompanied by a ceasefire, much needed in the war-torn country, where a Saudi-led coalition launched a military campaign in support of the internationally recognized government 1 year ago. The official added that Yemen's warring parties, who met with UN envoy Ismail ul-Sheikh Ahmed last week, have agreed on the principle of holding a new round of talks in late March in Kuwait. Previous UN-sponsored negotiations between rebels and government officials failed to reach a breakthrough, and the most recent round ended in acrimony in December. At least 6 soldiers were killed Monday in an attack in western Iraq claimed by Daesh terrorist group that began with 5 suicide bombers ramming explosive-laden vehicles into a checkpoint. According to a statement by Daesh militants which said its fighters carried out the attack, several foreigners were among the bombers, including a Frenchman. A senior officer in the Iraqi army said that 9 soldiers were also wounded. The officer said that about 5 hours of clashes ensued, adding that all the attackers were killed with the support of strikes from the US-led international coalition. The Algerian Defense Ministry says soldiers have killed 6 terrorists near an oasis town in the southeast and recovered numerous weapons and ammunition. An army detachment killed the 6 Monday in the region of the town of Outsouf, a Sahara Desert oasis. near the Tunisian border and 275 kilometers north of the oil and gas region of Hassi Massoud. Last Friday, an attack with homemade rockets hit a plant for energy groups, and the Norwegian-based Statoil and Daesh claimed responsibility. The Defense Ministry says the army operation in the Oufsouf region is still in progress, and an array of automatic weapons, munitions, and 2 all-terrain vehicles have been seized. Saudi Arabia's official news agency says King Salman has met with the U.S. congressional delegation ahead of President Barack Obama's scheduled visit next month. The Saudi press agency says the delegation was led by ranking Senate Foreign Relations Committee member Ben Cardin and included Democratic Senator Ed Markey of Maryland, Republican Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado, and Republican Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon. SPA says that Saudi Crown Prince and Interior Minister Mohammed bin Nayef and Foreign Minister Adel al-Jubair also attended Monday's meeting. On Sunday, the senators met in Doha with Qatar's ruler, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. Obama is due to visit Saudi Arabia on April 21st and attend a Gulf Cooperation Council summit. The GCC includes Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Oman. The UN expert on human rights in the Palestinian-occupied territories voiced scathing criticism of Israel on Monday as he stepped down over what he said was a lack of access to areas he was meant to monitor. Makarim Wibisono, who took on the role of Special Rapporteur on the rights situation in the Palestinian territories in June 2014, presented his final report to the UN Human Rights Council, criticizing Israel's refusal to cooperate with his mandate. The Indonesian diplomat said he had been assured before taking up the position that he would have access to the occupied Palestinian territories. But he said repeated requests for access were unsuccessful. The EU representative, Peter Sorensen of Denmark, said he regretted that Israel had not allowed Wibisono to access the Palestinian territories. Benin's Prime Minister conceded defeat to businessman Patrice Talon on Monday as preliminary results from a presidential runoff election gave the cotton magnate a lead that paved the way for a peaceful transition of power. Talon faced off against Prime Minister Lionel Zinsou on Sunday in a poll to decide which of the two would replace President Thomas Boni Yayi, who is stepping down after serving 2 terms in office. Preliminary results from the Electoral Commission put Talon ahead with 65% of votes, while Zinsou had 35%. Talon was once a staunch supporter of Boni Yayi before falling out of favor. Boni Yayi later accused him of involvement in a plot to poison him. Former Congolese Vice President Jean-Pierre Bemba was found guilty of a ruthless campaign of widespread rapes and killings by his private army in the Central African Republic in a landmark war crimes verdict. It is the first case at the International Criminal Court to highlight both violence as a weapon of war and a military commander's overall responsibility for the actions of his troops. The judges found Bemba guilty on all 5 charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity, saying he had retained effective command and control over 1,500 men he sent into CAR to quell an attempted coup against the then president. But Bemba's defense lawyer, Peter Haynes, said his client was disappointed by the judgment. U.S. Vice President Joe Biden warned that the United States is watching Iran like a hawk to ensure compliance with the landmark nuclear deal. Biden said that if Iran violates the deal, the United States will act. In a speech marking Persian New Year, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei had accused Washington of failing to respect the terms of the deal. Khamenei said that the United States has lifted sanctions on paper under the deal, which came into effect in January, adding that U.S. is using roundabout paths to prevent Iran from achieving its targets. Biden also touched on peace efforts between Palestinians and Israelis and the prospects for a 2-state solution. He said that Israel's government's steady and systematic process of expanding settlements, legalizing outposts, and seizing land is eroding the prospect of a two-state solution. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan said that Turkey would use all its military and intelligence might to battle what he called one of the biggest and bloodiest terrorist waves in its history, following a spate of suicide bombings. Turkey's main opposition party blamed what it called the government's adventure-seeking policies in the Middle East for turmoil washing across Syria's borders. On Monday, 3 Turkish soldiers were killed in a bomb attack on their military vehicle in the Nusaybin area near the Syrian border. U.S. President Barack Obama and Cuban President Raul Castro held historic talks in Havana on Monday, discussing enduring disagreements over Cuba's human rights record and Washington's trade embargo.
And his Cuban counterpart Raul Castro vowed on Monday in Havana to set aside their differences in pursuit of what the U.S. president called a new day for their relationship between the neighbors. Castro acknowledged there were still profound differences over human rights and the decades-old U.S. economic embargo. He pointedly refused to acknowledge that Cuba holds political prisoners. But Castro said the former enemies should take inspiration from U.S. and UN swimmer Diana Niad, who in 2013 managed on her 5th attempt to become the first person to swim from Cuba to Florida without a shark cage. Obama, the first U.S. president to visit Cuba in 88 years, held a new day, a nuevo dia, as he said, in the relations between the former Cold War wars. Trying to draw a line under past heavy-handed U.S. intervention in the island's affairs, Obama vowed that Cuba's destiny will not be decided by the U.S. or any other nation. But he insisted that Washington was not going to give up pressing for political freedoms in Cuba, where the Communist Party controls politics. Meeting Castro for only the 3rd time for formal talks, Obama was greeted by a military band at the Palace of the Revolution.